Hola, ¿cómo está? Eric the Car Guy. Behind me is a giant white whale. I'm not happy to see it. I'm not a big fan of working on vans. Especially the Chevy Astro van. Not my favorite thing to work on. But there are lots of them out there. And today we have one that has no power brakes and no power steering. And it has a Hydroboost system. What do you think's wrong? And of course, by the title of the video, I'm sure you know what's up. So let's go take a look. Alright, well, for those of you that aren't familiar with Hydroboost, instead of using a giant vacuum booster on the back of the master cylinder, they use the hydraulic pressure from the power steering system to work as the assist on the power brakes. And here is the power steering fluid reservoir, which you can see that goes right down into this unit. This is the guy back here. Hydroboost showed up, I think sometime in the 70s, and it was there for engines that didn't produce a whole lot of vacuum, such as like diesel engines, or in applications like this, where, as you can see, there isn't room for a massive vacuum brake booster. And those are the reasons that I can think of off the top of my head. I don't know them all, but I think that's part of it. Anyway, the customer complaint is that they suddenly lost power brakes and power steering. And as you can see, there's a bit of wetness around in here. And knowing what the problem already is, which will be more clear after I get this off, what happened is this, I believe this is an accumulator, came apart. And I can't see it now or show it to you now, but that thing has come right out of its mount. Luckily it's not too bad to get to, and if we're lucky we won't have to bleed out the master cylinder, but we need to get this off of here. It's gonna be fun. I'm gonna start by taking this drip pan and sliding it up under where the master cylinder is and this whole unit is, to try to minimize some of the mess on my floor. I really haven't done one of these, so I'm gonna be learning at the same time as you, but I've taken lots of stuff apart before. So I'm going to start by taking this hose from the reservoir off, and I'm just going to remove the reservoir to get it up out of the way. I have really cool hose pliers for this kind of thing. And they are nice to have. As you can see, there's nothing in that reservoir. Now I'm going to remove these two 10mm fasteners. Just take the reservoir out of the picture. There's another hose there. That is the return. Now this one's going to have some stuff in it, I'm sure. Did I mention I didn't like working on Astro vans? There we go. I'm gonna get some other pliers. These have a bigger hole. Part of my frustration lies in I'm fighting this hood prop because I'm trying to reach around it to get into here. It's kind of a pain in the butt. So I have this prop rod that I'm going to put on the other side of the van so I don't have to deal with this anymore. Try to find a place where you're not going to hurt anything. You also may be able to get it up a little higher. Give you a little more room. Alright, now back to this hose. There we go. Alright, now we finally got it broken loose. Have I mentioned I hate working on Astro vans? Hopefully the rest goes better than that did. Whenever I'm working on new stuff, I like to try to keep my parts and my fasteners together. Now that that's out of the way, we got a little bit better view of what we're dealing with, which I believe is this guy right here. And as you can see, the master cylinder is attached by two fasteners, one on that side, right here. So I'm going to take those two fasteners off and see if I can just pull the master cylinder forward away from the unit. It'd be a great day if I could and didn't have to bleed the brakes. Now this AC line is obviously right in the way, but we don't want to move it around too much. But I like to employ the use of a bungee cord on occasion, just like this, where I can just have somebody hold something and out of my way. Sometimes it's just those little things that make life so much easier. I have a heck of a time trying to get you an angle here, but these appear to be 15 millimeter. Looks like it'd be kind of difficult to get a socket down in there, namely because of those brake lines that are in the way. Something else you might want to consider, I just noticed that this fuse box is just held on by these two fasteners here. So I'm just going to remove those, maybe give myself a little more room to wiggle. Careful not to touch these guys to ground, because that would be bad. You could always disconnect the negative battery cable too. That would definitely eliminate the possibility of running into a problem. In fact, I think I'm going to do that very thing. You know, whenever you're performing major repairs like this, in fact, a lot of your service manuals, things like that, one of the first things it'll say before you start a major repair, especially if you're doing like an engine or transmission, is to disconnect the negative battery cable. And that is so that you don't inadvertently fry things that you don't want to fry. And disconnecting the negative cable basically makes it so that the electrical system is down, and in essence what you're doing is you're putting the car to sleep. So something that takes that long could save you from burning up these fusible links on this or worse. So I'm just going to take this and put it with my other stuff. Okay, let's see what kind of room that made for me. Wow! It's a whole new world. And time for another bungee cord. Check that out. I have all kinds of room now. Alright, now I'm just going to take these fasteners and put them up here on the windshield wiper. Now, looks like I might benefit from removing this line first. So whenever you're removing lines like this, it's a very good idea to use a tubing wrench or a line wrench. Scissors I'm using here. It doesn't look like I have the correct size. That makes some space for it now, doesn't it? Did I mention I hate working on Astrovans? You see what just happened? See how that nut is now spinning? Ugh. Gotta get a wrench on that. And the oil cap came off. Alright, well this might work out because you can just put this on here and then just put this 1/4 inch ratchet on the back of this. And do it this way. Now we have our master cylinder free from the booster assembly. Gonna leave the brake lines and everything connected. And I'm just gonna try to see if I can, I've got this radiator hose that's kind of in the way. See if I can just remove the master, which It looks like I can, but I don't quite have enough room to get past these bolts. But if I remember right, I can take these bolts out or make them shorter. They have a special shank on the top. I've set those up by the windshield wiper. And now I'm going to pull off this line here. Alright, well, that one's out of the way. Second one's out. Okay, now the master cylinder is free of the booster assembly. The lines are out of the way, everything else. Now we have to go inside the car and take the rest apart. Okay. It's tight in here, so I don't know how much camera work I'll be able to do. But those 4 fasteners are on the other side. You can see this is the brake pedal. And follow it up. It's connected here. And it pushes down on that rod, which actuates the booster. So on the other side of those 4 fasteners here, there is the booster. So we need to disconnect this rod and take these 4 fasteners out, and we're good to go. Now, part with the rod is probably going to be the trickiest. And I'll try to show you as much as I can, but there's this clip on the outside here that I'm just going to try to take off. Ugh. There we go. And there it is. That clip. Set that someplace where you can find it again. Oh, well, that was easy enough. Basically what I did was I just pulled the whole rod assembly right off of the brake pedal. So now it's free. Careful of your brake light switch, which is this. That's your brake light switch, in case you ever want to know. Now the rod is, like I said, I just pulled it off of there. Now the rod's free. Now it's those 4 guys there, and we're out of here. All right, this is the rig that I'm going to use. 3/8 ratchet, swivel, deep socket, because those studs stick out kind of far. I'm going to start with the top ones. Leave the bottom ones, the easy ones, for last. The reason why I say the easy ones for last, I have to get my headaches out of the way and then coast to the finish. 1 fastener. If I were to choose again, I might have chosen a longer extension. This is why professionals use air tools. Done. Now my Hydroboost unit should be free from its mount. Back at the bench, we see why we're here. This accumulator being held in here. At least I think it's an accumulator. It sort of looks like one, and being a pressurized system, it seems like it would be how it would work. But you can see how it's just sort of broken loose from its mount. That is not a good thing. And that's the reason why it lost all its fluid and all of its pressure. So now let's get our new one and install it on the car, which actually for you is going to be in a few moments, but for me will be tomorrow. Hydroboost fail. And we're back with our Hydroboost car. This is the new unit, and what I found is the new unit did not come with this little guide and push rod that is down at the bottom here. So I had to switch that over, and I found that out, of course, after the other one had already been taken back. All you need to do to get this out is pretty much push down. There's a spring underneath it. Push down and get it off its seat. The only reason it's there is to center up this rod so that it makes contact with the back of the master cylinder. But as you can see, our new unit is not going to leak here, I hope. Let's get this in the car. Or van. Before we got throwing this on the car, remember I've got to remove these studs, and they're left-hand threads, so you have to tighten them to loosen them. Well, it's going to be difficult to get this thing on there. Don't worry, it'll suck, but it'll make you a man. Wasn't so bad. You remember these guys, don't you? All right. Now, the next trick is you get your brake light switch slid over the outside of your arm. And this is hard as heck to try and do one-handed. But I did it. So now you got that on there. Time to get your clip back. There you go. Snap back into place. Let's put these studs back in here. Remember, reverse thread. Oh, goody. All right, now that I got one of these on here, I'm gonna go in and step on the brake pedal just to see what kind of brake pedal I have. All right, feels like I'm pushing on something. Good. I did, however, make a mess. Ew. But it did feel like I was pushing on something, so that's a good thing. But that is why we put the pan underneath. Remove plug. Remove plug. Install line. Now, my new unit came with 2 new O-rings. Use them. Quite simply, you just put them on the end, like so. Take a little bit of fluid, put it on there. Probably be a good idea to tighten it. 18 millimeter. for this guy. You don't need to kill it. Especially with a big long wrench like this, you got plenty of leverage. Same drill. Swap the O-ring. Now you might be saying, hey Eric, shouldn't you flush the system out? I'm going to say yes, you should. And then you can say, hey Eric, how do you flush the system out? Well, I suppose you could take the return line, this one here, and run it into a bucket. That would probably do the trick. Then you say, Eric, how come you're not flushing the system out? Well, it's later at night than you might think. I've been working all day, and this truck is, well, needs a lot of work. And it's a work truck. No excuse for me being lazy. But that's exactly what it is, and I'm just going to come out and say it. I'm just being lazy, and I'm sorry for that. But my intent is to make it so that this has power steering and power brakes again. And I am determined to do that. Let's put our reservoir back. Hook the hose up. Then reinstall the clamp. This one. Now, fasten this guy back to the firewall. The oil cap back on. Fuse box back in place. Find out which relay is for the fuel pump. Okay, this is a fuel pump relay. Pull it out. Fill up the reservoir with power steering fluid and crank the engine to get it all circulated through. You don't want to start the engine while it's not primed in. So pull a fuel pump relay, let it sit there, and then crank the engine. And I'll need to hook the battery back up. With the reservoir topped off and the fuel pump relay disconnected, crank the engine over for a while. Then check the level and top it off some more. Well, if it needs to be topped off. You reinstall your fuel pump relay and then start the car, see what you got. At first when I started it up and it was idling, it did not want to have power steering or power brakes. But I brought the idle up, took it outside, and I revved it up to about 2 grand, and as soon as I did that, the air burped out. I had power steering again and I had power brakes. The power steering pump's very noisy. The reason is there's still a heck of a lot of air in that system. So take the wheel, turn it lock to lock, turn it all the way one direction, all the way the other direction, and hold it there and hold the RPMs up, and that'll help get the air out. Then you might have to shut it off and let it sit. And you'll see like little bubbles inside the reservoir, and just let all that air just bleed out. Just give it time. Then come back, top it off, recheck it, see how it is then. It's kind of a process, but that system was bone dry. When that thing let go, it all let go. So for me, there was really no reason to flush it because there wasn't anything to flush. Because as I was taking parts apart, there's nothing in those parts. So you can yell at me if you want, but yeah, I'm all right. Anyway, just a little tip: rev the engine up. You might not get power steering or power brakes until you do, but do that outside so that you don't get all that nasty stuff breathing in. Okay, I've let it sit for a while, let it run for a while, sitting outside the shop. Now, no more power steering noise, everything else is nice. I'm going to take it out for a drive. It has power steering, it has power brakes, it doesn't appear to have any leaks. All is good. So, I hope this video was helpful to you if you ever have to replace this unit in your car, or in this case, van. So, if you have to deal with Hydroboost, hope it helps. I'm Eric the Car Guy. You can always visit me at EricTheCarGuy.com. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter. And, you know, be safe, have fun, stay dirty.